So they're going to be super focused on trying to kill people as much as they can, and this Awakening Start is like pretty helpful for that with perfect form. And I see that Woah Chills have the Luna and the Ivy. The Ivy's a really big pickup for them in terms of like dealing out the damage, but I know ZZ is going to be on the Luna. This Flying Blobbos team is super interesting because of this Fire Maiden J-Man duo that have been quite literally running circles around people for as long as they've been together. And that's going to make, like, that's going to put a lot of pressure on KenClam and Cakes to be able to hold it down in the face of, like, their overwhelming core control and pressure. So we'll see kind of how that goes for them in this game, and if they are able to survive and get those like more granular advantages in core control compared to ZZ picking up big KOs.
Yeah, I mean, the contest as old as time, core control versus KOs, who comes out on top. And these early point here, both sides going even on the barriers, but the core now floating over to Woah Chills. Nice time pillar here from Pensando, gets it back around, but the offense from ZZZ going to get shut down here with the banish. Now it's back to Cakes to try and make something happen, trying to get away from J-Man. A nice strike up with the blob as KenClam trying to work magic on the top side, looking for a passing lane to ZZZ, but FireMad not allowing that to happen. A little bit late on there, ZZZ, a boost up, a nice instant redirect to bring it down to the bottom, and Woah Chills will start off with the first point.
Yeah, that was really difficult for Pensando after using primary there. Since ZZ had dash up, there's not really much you can do as a goalie. I think you kind of have to rely on the Luna to make the mistake in that situation. And ZZZ, very, very storied history on this Luna Brawler, not going to make that mistake and is able to capitalize and get the goal.
And now moving over to our side lanes variant here. High potential for some edge KOs to come out from either side, really. Looking for some kind of pressure here. ZZZ pushing up on that side lane, but a nice pillar from Pensando forces them to rotate. KenClam making a nice rotation to the top side, gets the first barrier with that cyber swipe. And now Cakes with the core versus FireMad. I'm going to use the flip to get it back through. Now ZZZ dribbling back up the field. The core will get stolen away by the now, but KenClam quick to recover, sets up the turret. Pensando able to make it clear, and J-Man hovering for that KO, gets it onto Cakes. And now the power play for Flying Blobbos. Core flip here from ZZZ, gonna Crater Maker it to just buy as much time as possible. But J-Man dribbling up the field, the Fire Flurry's in the bottom corner. And not a lot KenClam can do about that one. And Flying Blobbos will tie it up.
Yeah, that was kind of an unlucky bounce for KenClam. Just the way it perfectly nicked the bottom corner and ended up right on top of him. I think he had nowhere to go there. Good play by J-Man. Something I want to point out for these teams is that Fireman and J-Man, you know, forged in the fires of norms, don't really play a traditional Omega Striker style outside of just, you know, how they move the ball around. They also rotate their positions super frequently. Like, to them, it's not brawler and midfielder, it's just the characters that they pick. So this game we're seeing Fire Maiden on the now, whereas earlier we saw Fire Maiden on the Rasmus as J-Man could play to take the second barrier and take the goal as well. But yeah, the like where they position and what characters they're playing is extremely fluid, and it's super interesting to watch because almost every other team in history has had, you know, a very standard brawler player, midfield player, but not this team. They're willing to be flexible, and I personally like the version of them with J-Man on these more brawler picks, like the Juliet, compared to when Fire Maiden is on like the Rasmus or the X. I think they're a little stronger when J-Man's kind of putting on more scoring pressure. So that I think favors them in this game because they've got Fire Maiden on his signature now in the midfield.
Yeah, I got to agree with you there. It's definitely interesting to see them play here. And now a big pickup on that barrier. J-Man kept the pressure up and forced it right in. Flying Blobbos picking up the first set here. J-Man going to be the MVP. Already starting with the perfect form on Juliet, now getting first pick. Could potentially pretty big here as we head into the first draft.
Yeah, not great pickings for the Julie here. There's build different in Stagger Swagger. Ops for the build different. Juno feels like they have to take the prime time for some extra defense and probably deny the rune as well. I'm assuming ZZ didn't want to take the prime time. Stagger Swagger for the now is fine. It makes this Imi a little bit weaker. And Rune, he gets whatever he wants here. Opposite of the glass cannon, and Imi takes Siege Machine. I might have taken aerials there. It's kind of up to you. Any sort of creation duration with perfect form is really, really good on Imi, but at the same time, like with the Stagger Swagger on the Now and just the Now Hailing in general, you're going to need more of those edge KOs, and that's just a little bit easier to do with something like the aerials. So it's kind of an even split, but overall I'd say the draft goes in the favor of the Flying Blobbos. The glass cannon's really nice for Pensando's mobility, and the extra size for J-Man is just going to be so important as they try and move the ball down the court.
And moving the ball down the court, they are, as J-Man to the top bumper. It's a favorable angle. It will bounce right in. Flying Blobbos not giving up very much pressure at all, utilizing their mobility. As you mentioned, the fluid playstyle combined with some extra move speed they've picked up. They have the cooldowns to work with, and Woah Chills has not been given too many opportunities to make very much happen.
Yeah, it's not been too good for them. They haven't been able to keep control of the ball, which means they haven't been able to layer their damage. Like, if you want to get a lot of damage on Imi, you really want to get the ball in their half and then drop the turret in a really constricted space, and that's just not something they've been able to do. Of course, they do get the flip off of J-Man, which is, some inherent value to their team comp, but at the same time, I think Flying Blobbos are just so much faster, and ZZ just hasn't been able to pick up those KOs that he needs to for this comp to really get off the ground, so we're going to want to be looking for either like a Ken Clam KO or a ZZZ dash punch into the wall from afar that they just haven't been able to find yet.
And now 4 flips coming up. We got 3 on the side of Woah Chills as they bring down that second barrier. Ken Clam first to use it, a demon angle off the wall, threading the needle in that top corner there. What a shot from Ken Clam. We'll put Woah Chills up on the board. They still got 2 flips to work with. We'll see if they can bring it back in this set. But yeah, like you mentioned, not a lot of KOs they've been able to find.
No, it's really hard to KO this team comp. As long as J-Man isn't walking too close to the wall, I think it's just going to be so hard. And I mean, you see ZZ kind of fighting for scraps on the other side of the map, but this Rune is ending up ahead of him sometimes. And with the Stagger Swagger on the Now, it's just so much to ask for. And even though Cakes, I think, has been playing great defense so far, they're eventually going to get whittled down.
And speaking of whittled down, their midfielder has been taken off the field, and now J-Man walking up with the flurries. Cakes tries to save it with the Blobbo, but there's just too many hits in the way. The Flying Blobbos picks up another point here on set point. They have basically 2 flips going into this, and one's on their brawler. So in a really good spot here to close out this set, unless Woah Chills can make something crazy happen.
Yeah, if they can KO J-Man, this is a decent map to do it as J-Man actually picks up the KO on ZZ, but they do get the flip out. That's pretty good for them. I think with the way that this game has been going, like getting a KO on ZZZ actually is not that big a deal at all. You can see he's already back, and they didn't even get a barrier off the power play. And they didn't even get that many resources either. And that's just because removing ZZ from the game doesn't change much about their offense or their defense. ZZ's just kind of been fishing for KOs and doing a lot of his ZZZ things. And crazy bounce off the middle. Cakes wasn't quite ready for the angle. No abilities up, catch them off guard. And yeah, I was talking about ZZ being out of the play, and he was a little bit out of the play there too, but J-Man has just been so lethal on offense this game, has been converting nonstop into this Juno who, traditionally is seen as a little bit weaker on defense, and without Ken Clam being able to win super hard in the midfield, it's hard for this Juno to keep the ball up in the way that it wants to. And the stacks and stacks for this Juliet, I think, kind of puts this game to bed a little bit.
Yeah, especially all 4 sparks literally showing up here as well. So, unfortunately, ZZZ and Pensando not getting too much to work with. Not a lot of great awakenings here. Ken Clam having to settle for the Might of the Colossus. The Fire Madden also got the Happy Star. Stacks on J-Man, like you said. Health on Pensando basically means that guy's pretty much unkillable as well. And Woah Chills have just about run out of win conditions on paper here. As long as Flying Blobbos stay consistent and just keep doing what they're doing, and even better now. they should just be able to put this one to bed.
Yeah, great elusive from KenClam there. Solid Juliet, sharking, waiting for the dash punch. But I completely agree. It's so hard for Woah Chills to win this game from this position. I do think, like, the stagger doesn't really matter that much. They were always going for knockback KOs anyways. At least ZZZ was. And KenClam hasn't really been able to get a good amount of damage off the entire game as J-Man picks up 1 KO, has the flip, almost picks up another, and this point, unless we see some big heroics out of ZZZ, might put the point to bed. Both flips used on the side of Flying Blobbos. Fire Maiden just needs to walk it in with J-Man, but Cakes respawns just in time for the big save, and KenClam having some heroics on the defense themselves. Things are going crazy, but looks like Flying Blobbos have finally found an out. J-Man dribbling, waiting, see if they can get a good scoring opportunity. Dash punch, not enough. Cakes completely stalwart on the defense, makes the save with the dash, and they found the KO they need, Lego Mage.
Yeah, absolutely. It's some crazy saves later from both KenClam and Cakes here. They chance to get another point. Core flip here from KenClam. Going to send it straight down to avoid the pillar while keeping possession. ZZD looking for the strike, but Pensando will deny that one away. Elusive forced out from J-Man to avoid the Crater Maker, but KenClam once again getting possession, dropping the Fireball Sentry. J-Man trying to use the flurries to get it out of there, but Cakes able to just send it right back in, and now KenClam with the Cyber Swipe, dribble off the back wall, trying to find an angle onto this barrier, but Firebat and Pensando are holding it down. So the pillar to send it straight up, and now Pensando rotating it around the top side. J-Man trying to catch up to it, but the core moving a little bit too fast to pursue. Rely on Firemat on the bottom side to look for the pressure, but Cakes will hold. Barrier finally going down, but Cakes trying to jump back. Couldn't quite reach the core in time, and not willing to spend a flip there will mean that Flying Blobbos will end up picking up a crazy .1 here in set 3.
Yeah, the I don't know what you would call it, the misdirection from Fire Maiden out of the teleport on their extra special ultimate. They weren't on Cake's screen, and suddenly they were, and so Cakes ended up passing right to them as just another great offense from J-Man. Takes the second barrier. This bouncy house has not been very kind to the side of Woah Chills so far this game. I think the Juliet ult this game especially has just been able to provide them so much control. As great play out of J-Man, almost really good save out of Cakes, but Fire Madden is there waiting, and that's kind of the downside of this really aggressive Woah Chills team comp, is usually you don't have people far enough back to help make those, you know, goal line saves that Cakes is trying to make. Yeah, we're heading into match point.
Yeah, one more here for Flying Blobbos, and they have the energy to work with. But ZZZ, the shutdown onto J-Man, does mean it's a much-needed power play for Woah Chills. KenClam going to pick up the center orb as well to go big. A double KO for ZZZ. They'll bring down one barrier, and they've got 2 flips to work with. ZZZ going to whiff it a bit, but still one barrier remaining. Pensando holding it down with the pillars, but taking a lot of damage for it. Woah Chills will have to back off just a little bit here as Flying Blobbos do respawn, but KenClam still trying to force something onto the core, but J-Man trying to force a barrier in return now. Fire Madden also coming to back him up. The Juno ult coming in, but it's so much damage from the slimes, and that's Fire Madden getting taken out. Another power play for Woah Chills. Easy on the bottom side with the Rocket's going to be able to pick up that second barrier. Now just trying to get it to KenClam, who's got the flip available. They drop the IMU Sentry. A glitch pop self pass. Doesn't quite find the strike, but Cakes is up in the mix now. KenClam looking for a strike work. Doesn't find the flip, though. Another opportunity arises as the Juno blobs come out. J-Man catches it with the flurries, though. Forces Cakes to flip. KenClam wins the strike war. Glitch pop to self pass, and J-Man wins the strike war, though. And still, Flying Blobbos managing to hold on. And now looking for some pressure of their own with Fire Madden in the top side. The Crater Maker, though, comes out onto J-Man. Barely staying alive, but looking for this flip. A strike to bring down the barrier, but it gets back to ZZU. Boosting Pensando. What a strike war. Saves it out of there as it gets back to the middle. And it's just an all-out brawl for control of this thing. The slime's coming out. J-Man trying to chase it. Trying to find a shot for this core flip. Goes for the middle. Doesn't burn the flip just yet. Still doesn't burn it. The slime almost finds a goal there. But Pensando able to hold it now. Cakes with a pass to KenClam in the top side. A glitch pop to get it past Fire Madden. J-Man with the flurries. Just going to dribble it down the field here. There's 2 flips available for Flying Blobbos. They're just looking for the opportunity. Pensando with the banish here. J-Man taking a lot of damage and still holding on to this flip. Waiting for the perfect opportunity. But the longer this goes on, feels like the less opportunities might have. As KenClam snipes it with the glitch pop. Woah Chills will stay alive for a little while longer.
Yeah, it feels weird saying this, but if you are Woah Chills, you kind of want every point to look like that. It's J-Man really, really aggressive opening on this point. Kind of calms down though, and Fire Maiden almost goes down. Flip burned out of Ken Clam though, unfortunately. But yeah, last point is kind of how you want every point to look if you're Woah Chills. You want chaos, you want a lot of edge KOs, and you want to be able to turn that into multiple barriers and even the goal, like they were able to last point. Like right now, we've got low stagger bars, we've got lots of knockback flying out, we've got an energy advantage. These are the kinds of things that this Luna and this Aimee are looking for in this game, and if they can keep that up, they can start the reverse sweep. I just think with the way that this game has been going, it's going to be so difficult for them to be able to do that consistently.
Yeah, they're going to need to score a lot of points, and with the points that they are scoring going as long as they are, it's going to be a long road indeed. J-Man bringing down the second barrier here. ZZD and Pensando trading flips as they'll get it back up to J-Man. Fire Madden dribbling on the bottom side with the primary. He's going to get KO'd for it, though. ZZZ calling him out on the wall. And now it's a power play for Woah Chills, but the core barely slipping past Cakes. Gets a lucky bounce and will stay alive.
Okay.
Big Banish coming out on the double. And Clam still trying to force it through, but J-Man winning a lot of strike wars here. And Fire Madden on the bottom side gets it back up to J-Man. The dash punch will be enough. Flying Blobbos will take the win.
Yeah, Cakes just couldn't quite get Ken Clem involved in that play there, and so the 2v1 was inevitable. Great conversion by J-Man. Absolutely well-deserved MVP for that game. Really, really impressive stuff. Looks like they kind of cleaned up their map select and maybe their gameplay from winner's side, where they went down to the Atlas's diversified resume squad. But congratulations to Flying Blobbos. They've cleared for Liftoff. Excited to see them. They're guaranteed to play in a league now, I believe. That's not the last we'll see of Woah Chills today. They've got one more game later, the 5th place tiebreaker, because there are 5 qualifiers for Liftoff today, which means that the loser of the next match will also be playing Woah Chills to see who makes it for that coveted Liftoff spot. Excited to see how things go. I expect Woah Chills to have a stronger performance in the next game. Cakes has been playing really, really well recently. For anyone that was able to watch Woah Chills' stellar run at LAN, Cakes was a big part of why they're able to make it to day 2, make it so far in the bracket. If you ask their teammates from LAN, they said, yeah, Cakes was putting us on his back. Just doing a really, really good job, and I'm excited to see them go. But that being said, this J-Man Fire Maiden team expectedly got the job done today. They've been hyped up for a while. I know a lot of people think they're really good, and that they have the potential to make a run all the way to the North American Strikers League. So we'll be seeing how true that is in the coming weeks at Liftoff. Lego Mage, you got anything to say before we head to break?
No, you pretty much said it all, but yeah, it'll be Polar Cortex versus the winner of Cyberswipe or Chikara Eclipse coming up in the second losers quarterfinal after we go to a quick break, so don't go anywhere.